Are you ready? What's my name? What's my name? Say Kareem Ali. Say Kareem Ali. You're listening to
Are you serious?
the Hip Hop Debate Show.
Okay, so hear me out.
The official podcast of Kareem Ali. In about 2 seconds, Kareem Ali will begin to speak. Get this shit over with. Well, first of all, Alpha and Omega beard grooming kit. Clean your beard, take care of it. You see my man Andre right now stroking his beard like CeeLo Green.
It had to be CeeLo. It had to be
So
CeeLo.
CeeLo be sitting there stroking a cat sometimes, so it was creepy. It's creepy. I know.
You stroked the cat?
Not stroking it off like to an ejaculation situation. I'm talking about just rubbing it, just like
like an evil villain on
evil villain,
on
yeah.
Inspector Gadget.
Exactly. My goodness.
We're 30 seconds in. We're just 30 seconds in.
Just gotta say the Alpha and Omega EOG and Pans beard grooming kit. We gotta get that. Gotta keep my sponsors happy. Try to give brothers, black owned business. Just try to get him, the respect he deserves and the income coming in. So if you got Jam, I don't know if your testosterone is high enough to grow a full beard, but it's a goatee there.
Unfortunately.
But I see the goatee there. So
yeah,
you might want to clean and groom that as well. And we get you a baby comb to deal with that. But okay. Kareem Ali TV, man. The Are You Serious podcast. We got Slick Vic Low. The lyrical, I'm forgetting all your names. Thelonious Coltrane, that guy looking like a Sith Lord. I don't know what's going on there. We got Jammer One of the greatest live performers, energetic and exciting in Baltimore City history. And now we got also my guy, the self-proclaimed contrarian, Andre White. We used to know him as Hustle Man.
I'm not a contrarian, I'm just right.
You say that's your tagline, but you say you're a contrarian. I know him as one of the greatest assholes that I've ever come across, and I love him dearly for it. It's always enjoyable to match wits with the guy.
My issue with you calling me an asshole is that we agree a lot. So if I'm an asshole,
we've agreed once. We've agreed once.
We agreed on the other show.
Once. It's
recorded. It's down. It's back.
We kind of agreed with Scotty. I don't know if we're going to agree today. I'd like to see that. So today we're going to talk about.
Knows y'all have agreed on.
Okay, all right. I mean, in my personal history, I've known you since like 1999, 2001. I don't know, something like that. Around that time, the D&E Lounge.
It's because you consistently overvalue your favorites.
Maybe. I don't think so. Not in the case of some of the guys that should be considered great. And you consistently undervalue some of the guys that are automatically great. You just hate them because they're there. But we're not talking about that today. We're gonna get that Jammer One with the kids in there. We got it going. Listen. So today we're gonna talk about the Mount Rushmore of the greatest hip hop producer rapper of all time. Now you can match them up. But a Mount Rushmore is usually 4 people. You can name them in order. Who's better than who? And I'm going to name some names. And you guys can put your own names in there. But there's Dr. Dre, who doesn't write. A lot of these producer rappers don't write their own stuff most of the time. But it doesn't matter because they're more producer than rapper. But you have Dr. Dre. You have Kanye West. You have the RZA. You also have, give me some more guys. You have Jay Dilla. You have Pete Rock. Q-Tip also. I think Q-Tip is more of an MC than a producer, but he's produced for other people. The criteria is not that you could just rap and make your own beats like a J. Cole or Eminem, but you have to primarily be a producer who also raps. Who's the best of the bunch? Andre White. What do you feel? Who's the best producer rapper of all time?
All right, well,
top 4.
To me, myself, speaking only for me, I gotta go with Kanye.
Okay.
The consistent evolution into groundbreaking territory from that first album to the second album to the third album some may feel like we lost him a little bit with them fourth and the 808s. But not only that, his ability to continuously to grow, but bring other people with him. Like he made Pusha T a commercial relevant MC. He put Lupe on. He put Sean on. He gave Common a whole new second life of a career with the work he did with Common. His work on R&B with hip hop. Like Kanye has shown versatility. He's shown growth. To come from out of that Rockefeller umbrella into creating his own with good music is impressive. Usually you don't see an MC or a rapper rather put another rapper on and then that rapper become equal or greater than the person that put him on.
So
the student became the teacher.
Are we gonna discredit what Dr. Dre has done with Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Eminem, The Game, and later on in this Kendrick Lamar? Are we not gonna add?
It's not a discredit, but to me, you named a bunch of people that had one or two good albums.
Because of Dr. Dre. One or two good albums. Maybe 50 Cent had two. I think every album The Game has been a good album. Eminem has had multiple good albums. Kendrick Lamar has had classic albums.
Where was Common when he did B? Coming off of Electric Circus, correct?
Wait a minute. Electric Circus was a creative record, but before that, he had like Water for Chocolate, who most people believe that's Common's best record ever.
His best album, yeah.
Nah, kind of like B a little bit more.
You like it a little bit more because your perspective is somewhat limited musicality.
Wow, you just called me stupid very creatively. Okay, hold on. We're not going to do that. But again, you're talking about Kanye, who gets to Rockefeller when they are already existing and arguably gives Jay-Z some of his best material. There are very few producers who can bring the best out of the best the way Kanye can Jay-Z. So let's keep that in mind.
Okay, what about Just Blaze on that album that was giving him the other half of that record? I might have went with Just Blaze's records a little bit more. I don't know. Just Blaze.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did the hits come from? Where did the hits come from?
What name the hits?
Well, you got H to the Izzo to start, and it's pushing the biggest part of that. Okay. What was that Blueprint album? Is the Kanye beats. But then again,
really?
Kanye came out on his own. Dre only gave you the Chronic.
Chronic 2001.
Yeah, we're gonna pretend the Aftermath album didn't exist.
Yes.
Wow. All right, so we're curving the grade. Cool. Kanye came out with 3 different sounding but equally great albums. How many other producers / rappers can say that?
You make a good point with Kanye West. I mean, Kanye's bars, even though he doesn't write everything himself, I do enjoy his rap style, especially on College Dropout. What was that? That was the first one. The second one was what? Graduate. The third one was Graduation. Late registration. Those are 3 back-to-back classic albums that I can't disagree with. He did change Common's career around. He brought it back to prominence with B, but I don't feel like Common would slip that much. And I feel like Electric Circus is kind of overlooked when I listen to it with my new ears. Maybe in real time.
Yeah, in real time,
this is weird. Yeah. When I look at it now, though, it's not really a whack album when I hear it now. It's not a whack album. But
no, I think Electric Circus was surrounded by the people that were working on that album and the other work they were doing at that same time. So you figure he's working with the Soulquarians, they got Erykah Badu humming, they got D'Angelo going. They have this whole thing of putting out great music, and Electric Circus just happened to be the worst of a group of great albums. B
was a great album, but I don't believe that it was Common's best work. I think like Water for Chocolate was probably Common's best. Jam, I'm gonna go to you. The best rapper producer ever. What do you think about Kanye? The pick of Kanye, my pick of Dre. And I'm not sure. I might actually go with Kanye. I might actually agree with you again, but I'm on the fence here because Dr. Dre put a lot of people on and elevated their careers. So I don't know.
Dr. Dre did a lot, man. He did so much. Starting with NWA, then the DOC, then Michelle A, then Snoop. It was a whole slew of West Coast artists that he put on.
Ice Cube was involved.
He changed the whole sound of hip hop for a moment. You know what I mean? And he stayed relevant throughout the years. He even did some bangers for Kendrick Lamar. But I'm leaning towards Kanye.
Okay.
Because Kanye's longevity, like he had a whole over probably almost 20 years now. Or just, you know, he's so revered as this great producer. I don't know. It's kind of weird because he didn't really put too many people on and make a lot of and produce a lot of number ones the way Dr. Dre did.
You don't think Kanye has a lot of number ones?
Compared to Dr. Dre, I don't think so. I don't think he produced a whole lot of hit records outside of his own.
I disagree, but I got to go to the Google.
I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm just off the top, just thinking about it. I didn't look it up or anything. I could be wrong, but I think
rhyme-wise, Kanye's was more of an artist though
than Kanye.
Dre kind of was like in the background rapping sometimes and stuff written by Jay. That was really dope, and I like his hip hop approach. But Kanye, he was like the everyman rapping. So, and he gave me something really new to listen to in that era where I was thinking like, damn, I don't know if I like some things that's coming out of hip hop right now. Kanye West kind of turned that around for me. Slangston, what do you feel about who's your top four? Who's the number one guy in that position? What do you think about Kanye versus Dr. Dre situation? This nigga just gets up and leave again. How dirty is this guy's beard? That's what I'm saying. Outfit on the OG of pants. Outfit Omega beard grooming kit. God damn. Get you one.
So my criteria is a little different. And so the way I look at it is if we're looking at the producers who also rap, how good are they at both? And so I have a Mount Rushmore, and then I have some caveats, some honorable mentions even. Like for me, Q-Tip, if we were just looking at like a good rapper who's also a really good producer, Q-Tip might be number one, but he's not primarily known as a producer, even though he's produced just as much as a lot of producers and done some amazing stuff. So, but he's not primarily, I couldn't say he's primarily a producer. So Q-Tip isn't really qualified for the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion.
Okay.
Large Professor, I would say, is an honorable mention. Look at the main source stuff and even his solo album, like he definitely was rapping. Timbaland rapped some, but I would say none of those are in the top four. The honorable mentions, I mean, the Mount Rushmore for me is based off of how great were your production and were you also really solid as an MC.
Okay, all right.
And so I would say the top four and in ranking order, and also for me, this is my criteria. If you did not write like any of your bars ever, that you're disqualified as far as I'm concerned. Because you rapped words, but you weren't an MC and a producer. You also rapped stuff those people go through for you. I don't think Dr. Dre's actually ever written a verse. Maybe back in the NWA days, but that was probably a lot of MC Ren and Ice Cube writing.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, so for me, he does not qualify for this criteria. So for me, number four, Havoc, Mobb Deep. Because he's mostly known as a rapper from Mobb Deep, but past the Mobb Deep era, he's actually known more in the industry as a producer.
Facts.
And a really good producer. Like he created a lot of that East Coast sound of like the early 2000s. Like he produced a lot of records people don't even know. Like he produced Why for this. Like that's Havoc. Three, I would say Jay Dilla. One of the greatest producers, but also very solid as an MC. And really, some people say Dilla's the best MC/producer. I won't put him that high, but he's really good at, because he has a producer there, he's really good at tailoring verses to the beat in a way that most MCs wouldn't think to do. It's really creative how he raps on his own beats. Second, I would say Kanye. Kanye probably has had more ghost producers than he's actually had ghost writers. Once you get past Late Registration, you're talking about the pivotal Kanye production that he did on those early records and the Jay-Z records and the Ludacris records and so on and so forth. Hits upon hits, like incredible production. Like he definitely shifted the sound and brought it back to a more soulful sound, but also like added more updated stuff relevant with that era. So production-wise, but where he really gets slept on in those so-called old Kanye, those classics, is his writing. Like he wasn't doing like Rakim level stuff, but he was doing some amazing writing for someone who was mostly known as a producer.
Yeah, I like Kanye as a writer, man. I think Kanye is great as a rapper and a writer. I was sleeping on him at first, but
he was always really underrated in that respect. But like he really he really was pushing himself early on as a writer as much as he was as a producer. So he was very even. Like, and in a lot of ways, people who are really great lyricists don't have the same sensibilities that someone who's building a whole song sonically does. And Kanye really had that kind of air too, kind of like almost like an advanced version of what Dilla was doing writing wise.
Yeah, I think Kanye.
One second. Vic, who was your number one?
So my number one, this is one people sleeps on, but he fits this criteria more than any of the others, in my opinion. And I think that he does both at the highest level at the same time, for an extended period of an era where he dominated and where his crew dominated. And for me, that's the RZA. The RZA is known primarily as the architect of the Wu-Tang sound. But the RZA is a phenomenal MC as well. Like, you're talking about lyrically, like talking about that Wu-Tang style where you're picking scientific words and concepts and you're putting them together. Honestly, he's one of the most lyrical out of the Wu-Tang. But that always got overshadowed because of how prominent he was on the sound side of things. And so, he brought a whole new sound to hip hop that was never heard before. So a lot of times that's what he gets talked about the most for. But you just go back and listen to RZA verses on Triumph, on Fourth Chamber, on his solo albums. Like, lyrically, he was going off on a level as high as any of the most lauded lyricists of the time.
I would take Kanye over RZA though, because of Kanye's ability to be in tune with the music as he's rapping, and the RZA kind of like rapping over the break of the beat with a lot of spit, with a lot of spit in his mouth.
The on-off style.
It's a lot of he orders extra saliva on every verse. He has a cup of saliva sitting there when he's sitting with the mic. He should spit.
Yeah. The gold, the fronts, and all of that he was wearing at the time.
But he's great, and how you architect. He was the architect of the Wu-Tang sound. That was a great point.
And if you listen to RZA's sound, you listen to Kanye's sound. There would be no Kanye without RZA. Like, a lot of what Kanye was doing later on, he got that from RZA. He was just doing it in a way where he was taking parts of the record that was the soulful part and then, putting drums under it versus.
I'm a sucker for soul music, so
Yeezy was using the same kind of samples, but he was purposely using the really gritty bottom parts of the sound.
Yeah, different approaches. Jam, who's your top four before I go to Dre? Let's see who the Mount Rushmores are. Then we could debate from that.
My top four?
Yeah.
Let me think on it.
Okay, Dre, I'll come back to you, Dre. Well, okay. You have Kanye at number one.
I do, but this gentleman's argument for the RZA makes me feel like I really should put the RZA at two. Like,
okay, all right.
That the impact to create a signature sound for an entire crew.
Facts.
Of totally different MCs. Like, not only are you making them all sound similar, but like Jizza and Meth don't have similar styles at all. And Ghost is all the way in left field, but you're making them all blend into one flow, into one cohesive sound. That's really impressive, dog.
Could you move RZA to number one spot? Or what keeps Kanye in the number one spot for you over the RZA? Is it the rhyme?
No. I would never call Kanye a better MC. I just think he makes better albums.
Better albums, and I can't disagree with that.
I feel like the RZA's solo work, although some of it is great, he's a much greater producer than a rapper. And I feel like with Kanye, the quality of his product makes it a little bit more of an even on both sides of the field type thing. A little bit, not by much, because the RZA is a superior MC.
Who was number two, and before you moved the RZA into your number two position?
I had Dre. But then he made the argument that Dre really shouldn't be on this list, which is very valid because we don't know any Drake. Like, Drake outsourced so much of his best work. I don't know the one song Dre worked.
See, for me, from a rapper producer standpoint, I don't necessarily apply the if you didn't write your own rhyme rule, because some people wrote some of
Ghost beat producers too. Daz did a lot of them drums that he took credit for.
Yeah, especially later on when you get into the aftermath era. I also understand that he probably was so busy, and so much work, so much to care for. He probably had to outsource a lot of stuff. But yeah, okay. I mean, that's a valid argument. Who's of Dre's in your number 3 position, or he's definitely your top 4? Who's the person that finishes up your quartet, Dre?
Probably because. No, I'm not going to say that. You might have to come back to me on this 4th one.
What about Havoc? I thought Havoc was a quality choice.
Havoc is a terrific choice. I don't want to steal this gentleman's entire top 4. So,
I mean, if it's the truth, it's the truth. I
mean, well, he presented his argument so well. It's very difficult to disagree with some of the points he made.
Like, didn't have Dre.
Like he made sense. So
and Jammer,
let me contemplate.
Okay, Jammer back. This is a hard one. Jammer, I have no idea. I'm picking the guys. I don't know the order though.
You know, I agree with Dre. Vic's list was so on point that it kind of knocked my list because I had Pete Rock and I had Dr. Dre. But Pete Rock, you know, he don't rap a lot. He do write his own rhymes, but he don't really rap a lot.
Not that much though. A lot of the Pete Rock rhymes was either written by Grap Lover or Lord Finesse early on.
For real?
And then on Mecca and the Soul Brother, actually Pete Rock and CL actually wrote each other's rhymes. So so he has written some stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that he didn't. You know, he just kind of like Snoop sometimes, where he would like, I know this person can write this type of rap good, so I'm gonna pay him to do it. But similar to what you said, I don't think Pete Rock has necessarily written as many of his own rhymes or rapped as much as some of the other people on the list.
Jam, you got to man up and make a decision, brother. You're struggling here.
All right, this is what it is, right? I agree with Vic's list. The only change I would make personally is I would switch out Havoc for Q-Tip. That's it.
Okay.
But RZA, Kanye, Q-Tip, who else you name?
Dilla. He had Dilla in there.
Dilla. Yeah, I agree with that.
So why would you? So what's the understanding, the knowledge behind putting Q-Tip over Havoc? Is Q-Tip a better producer than Havoc? Is he a better MC? Is it because of his MC ability?
Q-Tip is Havoc's daddy, in a nutshell. Havoc learned everything that he know from Q-Tip. Havoc is probably the better rapper, but I don't know. Q-Tip got some joints, man. Q-Tip.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
I can't say
hip-hop joints, commercial joints.
Well,
I think with Q-Tip,
commercial stuff like feel-good joints like Kanye would have.
It's real hard. It's real hard not to put Q-Tip on the top 4. I agree. It's really hard. I think one thing is that on Q-Tip's solo albums, I don't think he ever produced his entire solo album. Like usually we have some Dilla beats in there somewhere with some other beats. But even if you look at the work Q-Tip did production-wise for other people, it's always top-notch. Like he went to Pete Rock's house and heard a beat that Pete Rock made and then looked over and saw the record he sampled and just went home and just remade the beat himself instead of buying it from him. It's just like, so like he's definitely one of the great producers from that era. That kind of gets slept on as a producer because he's known as like, you know, the Tribe frontman.
Dre, I'm gonna come back to you. So, go ahead, Dre. 1 second.
Q-Tip and Dr. Dre actually used to battle each other. They had like friendly battles. It's like Q-Tip dropped, Tribe Called Quest dropped the Low End Theory, and Dr. Dre was like, "Yo, why you dropped that album? You know I gotta get you right." And then he dropped the Chronic. So
I love
they
the
had like
competitiveness of hip hop in this era.
Yeah, they had this whole friendly competition going.
And a lot of people were used to assume that, you know, the lion's share of the Tribe production was Ali Shaheed, but a lot of that stuff was Q-Tip for real.
Yep.
So we all pretty much will somewhat agree on a list of at least 6 people that we all kind of named. There was Kanye West, who a lot of us believe is either number 1 or number 2. There's the RZA, who's moved up to number 1 or number 2 on some people's lists. I still have Dr. Dre in the conversation. I may have to, after Vic's argument, I may move him down, but I don't think he should be taken out. There's Q-Tip, there's Havoc, and then there's Dilla. Those are the ones we named. It seemed like Large Professor and Pete Rock kind of got bumped out of this situation.
I don't think it's enough rap material for them to really be in this
Right.
conversation.
Yeah, great producers. Great producers.
Production's there.
Extra P is a dope MC, but you know he didn't really do a lot. I would have put him in my top 2 because he's up there.
So
talking about just the production list.
As far as
So
skills go.
if there was a starting 5, it would be Kanye, RZA, Q-Tip, Havoc, and Dre as the starting 5.
Or
Yeah, I can say
maybe
that.
Dilla's the 6th man.
Dilla could be the 6th man.
That's
But
A lot
very
of people
solid
though, like a
6
lot
man.
of like hip hop is, you know, they put Dilla number 1 in terms of both.
I think Dilla sometimes gets as great as he was, gets a little overrated. When people
I think
say he's
rhyming
the
wise,
greatest.
yeah, rhyming wise. Yeah.
I
Now,
think
there's a
people
glaring
mention his name for
omission.
credibility.
Say it again.
I think a lot of people try to say his name for credibility
Yeah.
when they're in certain circumstances. Oh, I love Dilla, and it's
Yeah.
like, do you
The
really?
Van Gogh effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, but if you know, we were talking about just production, you know, that's a different story. Talking about
Yeah.
Dilla.
I mean, the work speaks for itself.
Now, there's a glaring omission that we all completely didn't even think about, I don't think,
Who is it?
but that I think at least deserves to be a part of this conversation because of the high level of impact of both. And I think what happens is a lot of people assume that someone else was doing the production, and most of the time they were. And that person is Missy Elliott.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. I mean, but so I thought I assumed that I knew Missy did a lot of stuff. She wrote a lot of songs. She did shit for Tweet, and she brought on other artists as well. But I thought her prime and her best material came from Timberland. Am I wrong
That's
about
what
that?
a lot of people think. But Get Your Freak On, that's her beat.
Yeah.
A lot of the other stuff on that album is her beat.
I can't make an argument against Missy. I don't know how high she is on this list, but maybe she should be in the top 5 and bump one of the people out. I'm not sure. Missy
Yeah,
definitely
that
deserves
Tweet
consideration.
record, she produced
Yeah.
that. That's one of the
But
illest
most of her album, Tweet's album. I mean, a lot of that was Missy concoction. She did
How
some
you
stuff
can
for
usually
Monica
tell
as
whether
well.
it's her or Timberland doing the beat is most of the stuff on her records that had the heavy hi-hat stuff was Timberland, and the stuff that was more so had a lot of the 808s and the keys that was missing.
That's a very Vic. You dominated this conversation. That was a very, very good point. Very astute to bring Missy in here, and us not even thinking about a female
Not
producer
even
being on that
Right.
level.
If we don't at least mention her, we're gonna get flack on the internet.
No one
Like you dudes, 4 dudes just mentioned no
I'll
female
take
artist
this- yeah,
whatsoever.
Yeah, we got to give the sisters credit when the credit is due, and Missy Elliott is definitely
Absolutely.
one of the all-time greats. Andre, how do you feel about that? Have you concocted your top 4? I'll give you 5 to name. You can
No,
give me your order.
I think I got the same 5 as you, with Dilla coming up as the 6th man, respectfully, of course.
Okay.
And he definitely killed this one because Missy never even came across the brain. I start going back like, well, how many verses does Diamond D really have?
Right.
Yeah, wow.
All kinds of other people.
Would you agree that Missy belongs in the conversation?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Not necessarily just on some, we got to balance the scales and include a female.
Right.
The work, like we said earlier, the work
Yeah,
speaks for
she
itself.
deserves it. She's deserving to be there.
I might
The
switch her
resume
out
is
for
there.
Havoc for real.
Yeah.
I can't really debate that. A Q-Tip is hard to because of what he did rhyme-wise, but Missy, for the style of music she was doing, she was a great songwriter, which is to me one of the best skills you can have as a musician, as an artist.
Now we're talking about songwriting in general. Pharrell, in terms of like a lot of those NERD albums, did a lot of the songwriting and even some rhyming. But I don't know if you could say if the conversation.
I don't think he did enough. Right? Yeah. I don't know if he.
Now,
as a songwriter,
Missy, that Missy joint that came out a few years ago that had Pharrell on it, I didn't know Pharrell could rap like that. Like he was saying some deep-ass shit.
Pharrell
like
spit.
most people probably didn't even listen to that verse. And he was saying some crazy shit.
Jam, how do you feel about the Missy inclusion? I want to get your thoughts on Missy.
I agree with it. I don't have anything against it. Missy, she put in her work. A few weeks ago, a hip hop blog on Instagram, they did this versus, like a hypothetical versus, of course. They put Missy up against Nicki Minaj, and like it was crazy. Most like 70% of the people was like Missy off the rip.
Yeah, we should do that one. We should do that one. Well, if we had some sisters to come on here and argue their way.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Is Missy a better MC than Nicki Minaj lyrically though? Because Nicki can rap. If you ignore her content or whatever your bias is, it's not like Nicki can't rhyme.
I think what's funny about that comparison is that if you look at trajectory, Missy got better lyrically over time. I would argue Nicki Minaj has digressed.
I don't know if she's holding back or just doing a different style of music, or if someone was writing for it, it's not writing anymore. I'm not sure. But
I think she just went for a more accessible sound and kind of went away from what got her to one point, and to get to that next level, she went with a much more easy, clear flow. She slowed it down.
That's a respectful point.
Upstar.
Yeah, I mean, once you do a track with Katy Perry, it's like, where do you go after that?
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, she chose fame and money.
What LL Cool J always proved is that she could come back and knock your mama out.
but who wants Nicki to come back? Like, who's on the other side saying, "Come back, Nicki, keep it real, go back to the bars"?
Yeah, I mean,
I would like to hear that because I was a Nicki fan at that point. But yeah, I agree with you, Trey. I feel you.
I think when the whole battle happened with her and Little Kim, it kind of was a little bit of a watershed moment where it's like she could have took that as a springboard to do some more innovative stuff, but then she kind of fell back into like the pop records.
Or when Remy got at her, she could have probably, went to
I think she was hurt after Remy.
That's a whole nother conversation though, because I have a theory that Remy did not write Sheether. She only wrote the follow-up. And that's why the follow-up was so underwhelming.
I just don't like to assume that these sisters don't have the ability to write on that level. So I want to give Remy the credit for writing that rhyme. You're assuming that Papoose did it.
Well, you're assuming that I thought Sheether was dope.
Okay.
I thought Sheether sounded like something Papoose like threw together and was like, "Hey, you do something with this." I think Remy pre-jail was one of the best at the time of women MCs, period. But then I think after the fact, a lot of that wasn't still there, and then Sheether was like, "Okay, I need something. It's gonna leave an indent."
Go ahead, Dre. You can take us home. We're about to end this episode, so Dre, you have the last word on this.
Like I said again, he's making profound fact. I just want to know, how did Foxy get lost? Like, her whole legacy has just vanished when we talk about these female MCs. Like, people are talking about Kim versus Nicki, when it really should be Kim versus Foxy.
I agree.
But
I agree too.
I don't know. Foxy's whole legacy is like, she's not considered a legend or anything to a lot of these people. I don't understand how that happened. Like, it takes a lot to stand on a song with Nas and AZ and Hold Your Own, and be on these songs with Jay-Z and Hold Your Own. I mean, what was it, the I Shot Your remix? She held her own on some heavyweight songs, man. Foxy,
no doubt.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dedicate an episode to Foxy Brown because she does get forgotten, and most of the people, the female MCs that tend to are influenced by their Little Kim archetypes in this time period, but no one ever really mentions Foxy Brown. And it is rather strange. I used to actually prefer Foxy to Kim in that time period, like in the mid to late 90s. I was more of a Foxy person, but I don't know. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
See, but Foxy Brown, like, she did write a lot of her stuff, but not necessarily all. Fact. I'm not convinced that anything of actual lyrical quality Little Kim ever wrote herself. There was so much from the leftover Biggie Notebook she inherited.
Who do you think wrote Put Your Lighters Up?
I think Foxy Brown wrote that. But I do not think Little Kim wrote her verse on the Quiet Storm remix. Because when like your word choices are identical to Biggie, it's like, it's clearly not you writing this. And then when the difference between something you do and then something that you got from Biggie's Notebook is so drastically different, we're like, Foxy Brown wrote some stuff of her own that was just as good as some of the stuff Jay-Z wrote. I agree. I think Foxy Brown, skill-wise, is the comparison. More
very astute point, Dre. I don't even know if this was the conversation, but we got to give these sisters some credit for what they do. But that's the end of this episode. It was a great Mount Rushmore discussion of rapper producer, and I can live with the Kanye RZA situation as 1 and 2, but I'm gonna lean towards Kanye as number 1, RZA 2, but I'm not really sure because the argument was very compelling. It's just all that spit in his mouth. I couldn't get past it. Couldn't do it. But all right.
Again, I'm biased when it comes to the Wu-Tang.
Right. I just thought Kanye just made, I can't even say better song. It's just a different feel. But I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I have to think on that some more. Kareem Ali TV, the Are You Serious podcast. Are you serious?
Very serious.
So I have to stand here today as what I was when I was born, a black man.
Your racism bounces off me, I'm bulletproof. Your prejudice gets deflected, I'm bulletproof. Your hatred can't penetrate me, I'm bulletproof. Our minds can't be shackled no more, nah, we know the truth. Yeah, from the spot that Malcolm stood, looking out through the window, I'm looking out over my hood.